This one is one that is often not necessarily forgotten, but procrastinated on. But chances are, if you're looking for hidden areas or spaces to declutter, you just might be ready for this one. Whether you're just starting out with decluttering or you've been decluttering for a while, here are 10 sneaky places you just might be forgetting to declutter. If you're new to this channel, hey, I'm Yessie. I'm a previous hospice nurse turned homeschool mom, and my mission is to help you savor life. So I do talk a lot about minimalism and slow and intentional living, but through a holistic lens. So we don't just focus on decluttering items and talking about the physical stuff, but also the unseen, the habit changes that we need to make, and the mindset shifts to be able to live in abundance and really savor life. So if this sounds interesting to you, be sure to subscribe so you won't miss when I post a new video. All right, let's get on with the first one. First up is the first aid kit or the first aid box. This one can be super sneaky because we tend to not use this all the time, and when we do, we go for the items we need and then we toss it and forget about it until the next time. But go through and actually look through all the items that you have. Look for anything that's expired. Alcohol pads may be actually sneaky on you because they dry up and they might not be any good anymore. Antibacterials, any medicated gauze can also expire, so check for anything that is expired and toss those. And then also, while you're at it, check for anything that's broken. If you have a broken thermometer. For example, I had a broken SpO2 monitor. And why did I need the broken one and the one that works within that bag is really pointless. So I was able to get rid of that and make space for other things. Also check for things that you have multiples of. For example, things like roll gauze scissors. Do you really need multiple scissors to do the same job? Or tweezers, for example. I had 3 tweezers within my box. I don't need 3 tweezers. I can do it with just 1. And while you're at the decluttering, make sure you also go through and make a note of anything that you need to get and restock within that baggie. So for example, if you've used up all your Band-Aids and you need to buy some more, make a note on your calendar and actually schedule when you're going to buy more of these. Or if your thermometer is broken, or if you need like to replace the battery on it, for example, make a note of you actually, when are you going to get these things? So that way, God forbid you need it, you don't have to have through this hassle of going to the store to get these things when you already wish that life would just slow down because either you or a family member is sick. So go through at a moment that's convenient and actually handle this. This will save you so much sanity when you actually go to need these. Number 2 is your car. This one can also be pretty sneaky because you can't actually declutter when you're driving. I mean, if you are, that's pretty dangerous, so please don't do that. But usually you have to make a mental note of when you're going to declutter your car and actually set time to do that specifically. So it can really sneak up on us and we can kind of develop a whole bunch of clutter. And especially for a lot of us that spend a lot of time in our car. For example, when I was a home nurse, I would spend hours a day within my car and it could so easily just accumulate junk, accumulate wrappers. So go through and check through trash, check your cup holders, under your seats, in your glove box, and really just make sure to, first of all, get rid of any trash, any extra clutter that you don't need in your car. This will help you really have a much more enjoyable drive, and it's going to really ease any stress as you're actually looking for things so that things won't get lost within your car. Number 3 is the attics, basements, and garages. If you have an area where you can kind of hide things and you're decluttering and you're trying to focus on simplifying life, it can be so tempting to just stash them in there where they're not seen. But the thing is, you can lie to people all you want, but you cannot lie to your subconscious. And I have definitely found it super helpful to declutter those hidden areas, especially going in cabinets or closets where people don't actually see, and decluttering those. Because what I'm kind of saying to myself is I'm decluttering for me, not for my visitors, not so that somebody will just applaud me for how beautiful my closet is. It's because I want the order. I want the ability to be able to find the things that I need. I want the ability to have to stop replacing things because I forgot that I already had that item, things like that, and saving me time and energy to clean things, to maintain things. So when you're decluttering those hidden spaces, it can really help you to develop that identity of I'm a tidy person. I care about myself. I care about my home. It's so much easier when you focus on decluttering the things that only you can see, rather than immediately going to the spaces that other people can see. I definitely recommend to, first of all, go to like your bedroom to make it like a sanctuary for you, where you can relax, where you can feel at peace, rather than immediately trying to declutter like the living room or the kitchen, because that is what people see. It can be super tempting and it can be helpful if you want to have people over and see that. But personally, I think that it has to come from you wanting to have that peace of mind for yourself. And when you do that, it will help your decluttering go so much faster and really be more enjoyable. So go through and take the time to declutter your attic, your basement, your garage, all those areas that are hidden that most people don't see. It can take a lot of work, but you will feel so much better for it. Number 4 is the fridge and freezer. For me, this is definitely one that, as they say in Spanish, el burro hablando de orejas. This basically means the donkey talking about big ears. Like I'm over here telling you what to do when I need to do this myself. And this one can really be sneaky. It can sneak up on you, and that's why I actually say it, because it sneaks up on me a lot. Whenever we have new foods that we're trying out, or we just make something and we freeze it or we set it aside because we're going to use it and then we forget all about it, and then we're looking at it wondering like, what is this mystery food? What is this? And we don't even know what it is because we've forgotten all about it. So it can be really sneaky. What I like to do is every few months is go through and actually take everything out of my fridge and everything out of my freezer, clean it up, and actually put everything back, looking through expiration dates and actually being honest with myself if I'm actually using those things and if I liked it or not. So for you, just go through and actually be honest with yourself. What are you using? What are you not using? And clean it all up so that it will make your cooking so much easier. And if you do have stress about cooking or you hate cooking, because I used to definitely say that I hated cooking with a passion, this will make it so much easier and smoother when you only have the things that you actually use. Number 5 is kind of similar to the garage and attic thing, but it's hard to reach shelves or areas in your home. This one can definitely sneak up on us. For example, if you have a bookcase at the top where you can't actually reach things very easily, it can be so easy to stash things there and then totally forget about them because you can't actually like see them or reach them. Or for example, if you have like kitchen cabinets that are up high, you can sometimes stash things there for later or as a backup or something, and then totally forget that you have them there because you don't actually see them all the time. And it doesn't even have to be things that are like up high. It can also be things that are lower. For example, I totally forgot that I have a drawer underneath the stove, and I just went through and cleaned that recently because I had forgotten all about that. So anything that is not always in your vision, it can be so easy for clutter to accumulate there because we can stash it and just dump it and forget about it. So really be honest with yourself and go through your entire home and look for any of the higher areas in your home or those lower areas where they're just not in your vision often, where you might be hiding clutter. Because I know for a fact, for example, that cabinet above my refrigerator, it has some candies from last Christmas because we had some goodie bags that we gave to kids and we had a whole bunch left over. And I had forgotten all about it until I made this video looking for, what areas do I have that are hidden clutter? So I need to go through and actually see if they're expired or maybe give out some other goodie bags to kids for a random reason. But yeah, check for you. What are those areas for you where you might be stashing things up high, down low, where you can't see them and just forget about them? Number 6 is the toolbox or hardware bin. This is one that, again, I am totally guilty of, and it can be really easy to accumulate clutter in this zone. If you have your home or you do any kind of maintenance for the home that you live in, this can be so easy just to accumulate like the odd screws and bits from furniture that you assembled and you just toss it in there and forget all about it. I personally had like several rolls of painter tape that I had already used. So like some of them was like almost empty and then I had a full one. And like, why did I even need all of these? I should just really use one and then finish that one and then go to the next one. So what I did, even though it was kind of a little bit time consuming and doesn't look as pretty, is I actually went through and rolled them all into one, and that way I only have one and not the 3 that are like almost empty. And then 2, I went through and looked for any kind of multiples of things. So I had 3 screwdrivers and I also had one that has different interchangeable bits. So why did I need 4 screwdrivers for the same exact purpose? Really, I don't even know. It can be so easy to accumulate all of these sorts of things. So go through and actually look for any kind of random screws and bits that you're like, what did this even belong to? Or if you had it from furniture that you had from a while back ago, actually go through and look through all those different pieces and declutter any of those things that you don't need. This will make it a lot easier when you actually go to need something and you don't have to sift through all the other random junk. Number 7, under your bed or under your furniture. I'll be completely honest, I actually have stuff under my bed and my living room sofa. So under the living room sofa, I have a box where I have like the Wi-Fi router and a whole bunch of cords, so that way I can like easily pull it out if I need something, and then I can just stash it away so it's not visible. And then because I don't have an attic or a basement, I keep my baby clothes underneath my bedroom. However, because I don't really have another area to store these things, I'm not saying you shouldn't like store things under your furniture. Sometimes it's necessary if you don't have any other space. I would recommend if having it kind of compartmentalized. For example, the Wi-Fi router and all those cords, I have them within a box. So that way, even though it's not pretty, I can easily access them and kind of like shove them back, and they're all compartmentalized in one box. Or within the baby clothes that I have different bins for them underneath the bed. So that way I can just slide them out and it's not like a whole bunch of things rolling around under the bed. If you have shoes, for example, one of the things that I have seen is people put them on a canvas, like on a painting canvas, and that way they can actually slide them out and have them in a line, have them in order, and then just slide them back in. So if you do store things underneath furniture, actually go through and first of all, see if there's anything that you don't need underneath there and get rid of that. That way maybe clear up some space. And then also, if you have no other option and you have to store things underneath your furniture, then find a different way. Maybe use a basket, maybe use a bin, use a canvas if it's for your shoes. That way it'll be a lot more organized and you can actually access the things that you need and know what's underneath your bed. Number 8 is travel stuff. Because travel for most of us doesn't happen that often, it can be easy to accumulate clutter in this area. So go through and look for any of that toiletries that you know for a fact you didn't like and you're not going to use. Look for any multiples of items. For example, if you have multiple of those little travel toothbrush sets or multiple of those little shampoo containers that you don't really need those multiples of, or broken items, if you have a broken wheel on a carry-on. Actually be honest with yourself. What did you use the last trip? What will you actually use? Whatever items you have in regards to travel, and then get rid of the things that you don't need. That way it will make your travel experience and actually planning and prepping a lot easier. Number 9, jewelry. This one, I wasn't really sure if I should include on the list, but I know for me, it has been a cause of like hidden clutter where I know I have it, but I don't really think of it as clutter. So for example, I have had earrings where I've lost one piece and I don't have the other one, and I just kind of keep it, just stash it away just in case I find the missing piece. And I don't know about you, but I have never found that other earring. Have you? So for me, I've had to kind of just be honest with myself and admit that if it's been a while, I'm likely never gonna find it, and it's okay just to let it go. And especially if you have a lot of scraps for earrings, for example, broken earrings. My daughter has gone through a couple of them, and I had a couple of earrings that are broken, and I didn't want to spend the money on fixing them because they really weren't worth anything to me emotionally or sentimentally. So I just rather collect these items and actually sell them. You can actually sell your scraps of gold and make money off of that. So that has been my preferred. But if you have pieces that you have broken for a while, that you really know you're not going to fix, or you have that missing piece, it might be time to let it go. And lastly, number 10 is sentimental items. This one is one that is often not necessarily forgotten, but procrastinated on. I wouldn't necessarily recommend you declutter this one first, but chances are if you're looking for hidden areas or spaces to declutter, you just might be ready for this one. One of the things that has been really helpful for me with the sentimental area is to be able to have like a bin or a basket or something that you just designate in order to put your sentimentals in. And this can be super helpful for family members. So for example, my husband has this bin where he puts his special things, and he doesn't have a whole lot of things that are sentimental to him, but still, that way we allow each person to have their zone, their space that's like just for them, especially with kids. So that way you're not like decluttering all their things, and they can actually keep things that are special to them. But if you're wanting to let go of your special items, something that I found super helpful, and I don't know, this might be like a therapy exercise. I'm no therapist, so don't take my advice as like mental health advice. This is just something that worked for me, is I kind of have like a going away ceremony or like a goodbye ceremony. So I'll give you the perfect example. I went to my parents' home one day and found some stuff as they were redoing their basement. I found some of my artwork from when I was a kid. And when I moved out of their home, I thought that this artwork was lost. I actually missed this artwork. I was sad that I lost the artwork. So when I went back and found it, I was so excited. I was like jumping up and down like a little kid, like, yay! I thought it was lost. It was so special to me. And for a moment, I felt that joy that that artwork had come back to me after so long, and I thought that this artwork was gone until I realized I have no space to hang it. It doesn't really align with my decor now. I don't really want to hang it, and I don't want to keep it stashed away because I know that I'm not going to hang it. And so I knew that it was time to let it go. But it was hard. It was hard even though I knew that I was never going to display it, that I didn't want to display it anymore. because it had that attachment to the memories that I had from when I was younger. So what I did is I took photos of these things. So mind you, I did this when I was alone. I didn't have anybody else with me. So I took the artwork home with me and I made sure that nobody else was going to be in the home. And I had my little like going away ceremony. I went through and I reminisced on the times in which that reminded me of. I took photos of these items. I gave thanks for the ability to have had that time, that phase of my life that was special to me. And then I gave thanks for what is to come and the things that I would do and the things that I would create going forward. And I let it go. I let the items go. I've also done this with a lot of other things. For example, photos. If you have any photos that are not sentimental, but can also be helpful for things that are kind of hurtful, just to kind of give it a way to release those emotions so that you're not like harboring them in your subconscious. I had photos that when I looked at them, they would make me sad. They would make me sad because they reminded me of a time when I wasn't happy and when I felt lonely or things like that. And so what I did with those photos is I looked through those photos and I looked at that time, but this time through a different lens, through a lens of compassion for the person that was in those photos that maybe had hurt me and what they were going through and why maybe it makes sense that they would have treated me the way that they treat me. Not necessarily, this is going to sound bad. It's not like I was covering up for the things that they did, but going through with a forgiving mindset and forgiving myself as well, and allowing myself the time to release all of the emotions in a more positive, constructive way. And so what I did was I got rid of those photos, but I went through and I had kind of like that going away ceremony. I went through and I looked at those photos and I gave thanks for the things that I did have, for the ability that I can change things going forward, that I still have my family to work on things with. This exercise can be super helpful. You can also do this if you're trying to like donate something, for example, or sell something. Selling, I wouldn't necessarily recommend personally, because if you have those sentimental items, let's be honest, you're never gonna find somebody that's going to appreciate it and treat it as much as you want them to treat it and appreciate it. So personally, I have gifted the sentimental items that are usable, like not my artwork. I don't know that anybody's really going to care as much about my artwork, but things that are sentimental, things that we have handmade, we've gifted to people, because you're just never going to get that financial value. And maybe you make some money off of it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. You could make money off of your sentimental items, but personally, I have found that just letting it go with love, giving it freely, surrendering that attachment has been very helpful. And it's not always necessary. You shouldn't always get rid of things that are sentimental to you, because you might regret it. So just make sure that you really process if you're wanting to declutter those things. But if you have that hunch that you should get rid of something that's sentimental, but it's hard for you, then maybe this exercise will help. So that's it for today's video. I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you've made it this far, give me a high five down in the comments below and let me know you stuck to the end. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.